daily news report. Today's big stand in history is the Boxer Rebellion. The Boxer Rebellion in 1900 played a very large part in Chinese development to become a superpower. The Boxer Rebellion was the period in which China was invaded by Christian superpowers and the Chinese stood up against the foreign devils. Though they ended up losing, the stand in history taken by the Boxer Rebellion laid the foundation for China to eventually be an independent superpower in the world. So, sorry, there is no UFC or actual boxing in this rebellion, but there are things of greater interest. Hope, resistance, and of course, magical charms. From 1839 to 1860, China fought a series of wars with the European powers. These wars were called the Opium Wars. China lost decisively in these wars to the Europeans and was forced to give up land. For example, Hong Kong was given to the British, and the Chinese were forced to open their country to foreign trade. As a result of their military losses, China was forced to sign what are known as the unfair treaties. These treaties legalized the opium trade and gave foreign traders unlimited access to China. But trade wasn't the only aspect of the unfair treaties that infuriated many Chinese. In particular, foreign missionaries were given access to preach Western Christianity to Chinese, and many Chinese rituals were outlawed. And the end result was that the Chinese citizens were often treated worse than the foreigners in their own country. It wasn't just the Chinese that considered these treaties unfair. Even the British Prime Minister, Gladstone, considered the Opium Wars and the resulting treaties a war more unjust in its origin, a war more calculated in its progress to cover this country with a permanent disgrace. By the turn of the century, 1900 China was ready to explode. But as it turned out, the fight and stand in history against undue foreign influence wasn't led by the Chinese government. It was led by a small group of people. In the late 19th century, a group of young men formed in northern China. They called themselves Yihe Quan, or the Righteous and Harmonious Fists. This group dedicated itself to martial arts and believed that their rituals and the magic charms they swallowed would give them power to perform magnificent feats. This was attractive to powerless and unemployed young men, and their numbers grew. Because of their martial arts practices, Westerners began referring to this group as boxers. While they were not a government force, local governments used them to protect villages against bandits. But it wasn't long before the Righteous and Harmonious Fists turned their attention to another source of evil in their homeland. Breaking news. Today it is 1900 and we are interrupting your documentary to bring you this breaking news. The Boxers are on a rampage in the countryside. We have reports that they are burning all Christian-influenced things and objects in their way. Let's go to our correspondent in China for some more details on what's going on. Thank you. I'm here on the scene in China as the Boxer Rebellion unfolds. Since January, things have really heated up out here. After increasing violence in the countryside and conflict, it's now June 1900. Let me walk you through how we got here. On the 5th of June 1900, the Boxers cut the railroads leading to Tianjin. This isolates the capital, which sets up the siege of Peking, which also grew Boxer support among the population. On June 14, 1900, at 7 p.m., just outside the legation quarters, German guards killed about 20 Boxers. Also, Europeans have massacred 45 Chinese citizens during a temple raid. This violence finally causes Chinese Empress Dowager Cixi. In the late June 1900, after months of indecision, she has decided to support the Boxers and declares war on the invaders. With this new support and confidence, on the 22nd and 23rd of June 1900, Chinese soldiers, with the assistance of the Boxers, burned many churches and Western buildings. Boxers and Europeans are both being killed. The Boxer Rebellion is in full swing. That's it from here. Now back to you. Well, we can definitely see there certainly was some build-up. As all stories, there must be another point of view. We can just ask German Ambassador Clemens von Kettler. Well, Mr. Kettler, would you kindly explain your point of view? Well, we know that for a boxer, that report was rather impressive, although it is strongly tilted for China. You see, us Germans are just claiming ours taking this rich part of the world. And then the boxers had to intervene. Now the Europeans are not convinced of this boxer threat. Everyone is a boxer now. It's like a new trend. But little do they know, weird caps are not in style. Anyway, there was a boy who I strongly suspected of being a boxer. Now that I've executed him, all the boxers are causing such crude turmoil. Luckily, we have technology on our side. The boxers' martial arts are no match for European guns, not to mention the help from Japan and the United States Marines. Just wait for our reinforcements to arrive. Then we'll show you who's superior. Now, back to that petty station of yours. Well, we definitely can see there are two sides of this tale. One, however, may act a bit overconfident. Well, as it turned out, the Boxer Rebellion was quickly defeated. The invading powers relieved Peking on August 15, 1900, after fighting their way through much of northern China. The Empress Dowager and her court fled into the countryside. On September 7, 1901, a one-sided peace treaty was signed in Peking, the Boxer Protocol. This brought an end to the unsuccessful Boxer Rebellion. At the end of the day, over 5,000 soldiers and over 100,000 Chinese civilians had died. The foreign powers made China repay $333 million to them, which was much more than their tax revenue at the time. In addition, China was forced to agree to trade treaties that were very favorable to the foreign powers. And for almost the next 50 years, foreign countries were allowed to maintain their territory and station troops in China. And as if that wasn't enough, all government officials who sided with the Boxers were executed. In the end, although unsuccessful, the Boxers told the Allied forces that China was a force to be reckoned with. There's an old Chinese proverb, Bing Dong San Chi Fei Ni Ri Ni Han. It translates as, 3 feet of ice is not formed in a single day. Although the Boxers were defeated in their efforts to create a truly independent China, patience in history was on their side. Over the rest of the 20th century, China would fight more wars against foreign powers. Today, as China is beginning to be recognized as an international superpower, we can look backwards to the Boxers and the stand they took in history for some of the reasons.